As the war in Ukraine enters its second year, there are few signs it will end anytime soon. Farm Journal President Charlene Fink recently sat down with global philanthropist and Illinois farmer Howard Buffett. His namesake foundation has given millions of dollars in food, equipment, and expertise to Ukrainian farmers and civilians in 2022. Now in 2023, he wants to give even more. The needs are endless, the future uncertain. But that's not stopping Howard G. Buffett from standing up for those impacted by conflict.
We were able to get 163,000 pounds of seed.
Vegetable seeds for locals to grow their own food.
But 163,000 pounds of vegetable seeds is a lot of seeds. And then this year we've already sent 616,000 packets of seeds.
And he's continuing to look for opportunities to help feed people both in Ukraine and beyond.
90-some+% of all the grain goes through the Black Sea, which has been probably one of the biggest single issues for agricultural production in Ukraine.
Now, as Ukraine looks to diversify its export corridors, rail is an option if they can solve one problem.
There's a different gauge width between Ukraine and Europe. So Ukraine has a lot of rail cars for grain, but they don't work so well in Europe.
His foundation is fronting the money for a new idea.
So they want to try to start moving grain in containers because the rail system can move lots of containers and you can transfer containers pretty easily onto European trains.
The foundation is also looking to help lower interest rates for farm loans. On the ground, there will be a continued focus on demining farm fields.
And we're making some progress on this, but we will spend a lot more money on demining. And we spent about $30 million on demining, and it's going to go on for years.
Then there's figuring out how to move equipment and inputs into the areas that need it.
I talked to the U.S. ambassador there a few trips ago, and she said, you know, one of the things the Ukrainians really need are pontoon bridges. And I'm thinking, I would have never thought of that. It is the only way people are getting food. It's the only way they're getting medical supplies. It's the only way they can evacuate a village that is going to be occupied by the Russians. It becomes an absolute necessity for transportation.
But getting them built will depend on what happens next in the war. As 2022 investments like buying those 6 rapid test DNA machines,
and then you realize you have thousands of unidentified bodies.
And hiring investigators continue.
Last year in 2022, we spent $148 million in Ukraine. And then this year, our goal, our target is $300 million.
2023 is about big ideas.
That's why we're looking at fertilizer, we're looking at seeds. You know, those are things that, you know, a minimum would have to be a $10 million idea. I mean, you know, it's better if it's a $30 million idea, but how you do that is not easy.
But why? Why does Buffett believe Ukraine is worth the investment?
If people cannot feed themselves and they cannot feed their family and a government cannot feed people, their population, it just breeds conflict. And so when Ukraine fails in terms of their ability to produce agricultural products, the world becomes less safe.